his life, he can talk!
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 differences in Pinocchio 1940 in 2022.
I bet you were thinking I dropped the ball, but old Jiminy picked up the fumble and it's smooth sailing from here.
For this list, we'll be looking at changes that Robert Zemeckis' live-action adaptation of Pinocchio made from the animated classic. We'd be lying if we said there weren't a few spoilers ahead. What are your thoughts on these differences? Leave an honest comment. Number 10. Geppetto meets Jiminy. In both versions, Pinocchio has two nurturing male role models, his father Geppetto and his conscience, Jiminy Cricket. Although they cross paths multiple times in the animated film, Geppetto and Jiminy never formally meet each other.
What'll I do? I'll run and tell his father. No, that'd be snitching. I'll go after him myself.
The remake delivers an exchange 82 years in the making. As our heroes prepare to escape from inside Monstro, Pinocchio takes a moment to introduce his father to his cricket companion.
My conscience!
That cricket is your conscience?
I sure am, and let me tell you, it's no easy job.
On any other day, a talking, sharply dressed cricket might strike Geppetto as somewhat out of the ordinary. Since he's busting out of a sea creature with his wooden son, though, Geppetto doesn't dwell too much on the apomorphic insect who sounds a bit like Jim Hawkins from Treasure Planet. Jiminy Hawkins, if you will.
Hit your head there pretty hard, didn't you?
Number 9. The Coachman's Magic. Luke Evans goes from playing Gaston in the live-action Beauty and the Beast to portraying another Disney villain. In the original, the dastardly coachman lures naughty boys to Pleasure Island with the intent of turning them into donkeys.
But the law, suppose they... No, there's no risk. They never come back as boys.
The remake's coachman has the same intentions, although he targets disobedient girls too. Evans's coachman also appears to be a master of the dark arts.
Pleasure Island will be the most life-altering experience you will ever have. You won't be a puppet anymore, that's for sure.
In the blink of an eye, he can transform from a dirty coachman to a jolly Pleasure Island employee. The coachman's minions here have a smokier, almost demonic aesthetic as well. It's safe to assume the animated coachman knew a little dark magic. How else would he develop a formula to change children into donkeys? The remake's coachman is next level, however.
Now it's time to play, so tell us what you say.
Number 8. Pinocchio actually goes to school. One thing we always found a little weird about the original is less than 24 hours after Pinocchio springs to life, Geppetto decides to send him to school.
Here's an apple for a teacher. Now turn around and let me look you over.
Wouldn't Geppetto want to spend more time with his newly created son before sticking him in a classroom all day? The remake does show a longer passage of time before Geppetto enrolls Pinocchio. Like in the original, Pinocchio encounters Honest John and Gideon, who encourage him to pursue an actor's life. Pinocchio ignores Jiminy's warning in the animated version, but he heeds the cricket's words this time.
I'd trust the guy the blue fairy assigned to the case, wouldn't you? Jiminy Cricket, temporary conscience?
Well then, I want to go to school.
Now we're talking.
Pinocchio makes it to school, but he's swiftly kicked out for being a puppet. With Jiminy caught in a jar, John and Gideon have an easier time convincing Pinocchio to meet Stromboli.
You gave it the old college try. And what did the wise and learned schoolmaster say?
He said I belong in a puppet show.
Alas, a puppet show. I rest my case.
Number 7. The Blue Fairy's role is downsized. The Blue Fairy, or Fairy with turquoise hair as she's called in Carlo Collodi's novel, plays a significant role in almost every Pinocchio adaptation. In the 1940 film, she grants Geppetto's wish by giving his puppet life.
No, Pinocchio. To make Geppetto's wish come true will be entirely up to you.
Up to me?
Prove yourself brave, truthful, and unselfish, and someday you will be a real boy.
She also helps Pinocchio escape from Stromboli, sends him a message about Geppetto getting swallowed by a whale, and turns him into a real boy. The remake limits the Blue Fairy's presence to the first act.
All right. Everyone can relax. I'm here now. What seems to be the... Oh, yes, I see what the problem is.
Played by Cynthia Erivo, the Blue Fairy gives Pinocchio the ability to talk and walk without strings. Following a rendition of When You Wish Upon a Star, though, the Blue Fairy is absent from the rest of the film, but a few other characters lend Pinocchio a hand along the way instead.
Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through.
Number 6. Monstro is a sea monster. Shortly after escaping from Pleasure Island, Pinocchio gets word that his father was consumed by Monstro.
But wait, he's alive.
Alive? Where?
Why, inside the whale, at the bottom of the sea.
Bottom of the sea?
Uh-huh. And, hey, where you going?
I'm going to find him.
The remake seemingly sets us up for another climax with a menacing sperm whale. Upon encountering the beast, Pinocchio finds that Monstro isn't really a whale, but a sea monster. Although this is a change from the 1940 film, the remake's version is more faithful to Collodi's novel. In the book, Geppetto finds himself in the clutches of the terrible dogfish. The remake's design is also closer to the book's illustrations, albeit with some updates reminiscent of the Kraken. The remake's Monstro is every bit as relentless as his 1940 counterpart, but Pinocchio is able to outrace him now that he has motorboat-like legs.
Faster, Pinocchio! Faster! Spin those cloud hoppers!
Number 5. No smoking or drinking. In addition to junk food, the original's Pleasure Island treated the boys to cigars and alcohol.
The back to row, the back to row. Get your cigars, cigarettes, and chewing tobacco. Come in and smoke your heads off. There's nobody here to stop you.
Although the sequence ultimately teaches young viewers not to smoke, we figured that cigars would be omitted from the remake. Nowadays, tobacco is rarely portrayed in G, PG, or even PG-13 movies. Some believe that even when smoking is depicted in a negative light, it can still come off as glamorized. The remake also substitutes beer for root beer. How do we know this? Because they say it several times in a row, just in case anyone didn't hear.
Root beer! Look! Free root beer! Root beer!
Here you go, gents. Have a tall one. They're on the house.
Maybe it's the mug, but the beverage Pinocchio is given looks an awful lot like real beer. Last time we checked, root beer was more brown than yellow.
Hey, give me that root beer! That kid's crazy!
Number 4. New characters. In the Blue Fairy's place, a few new characters aid Pinocchio in his journey to becoming a real boy. Lorraine Bracco voices a seagull named Sophia, who informs Pinocchio that Geppetto is headed out to sea.
She agreed to airlift us so we can search for...
Hold on one gosh darn minute. Let's get something straight here, Mr. Cricket. I said I'd airlift you, not him. I can't carry a heavy block of wood.
The most notable newcomers are Kaya Lamaya's Fabiana and her marionette Sabina. It's implied that Fabiana was a dancer until her leg was damaged. Now she channels her desire to dance through Sabina, who Pinocchio is more comfortable talking with.
I trust you, sorta.
Thank you. I'll try to be worthy of it.
Fabiana and Sabina point Pinocchio towards the key that releases him from his cage. Where Stromboli never gets any comeuppance in the original, his corruption catches up to him here.
You started your own puppet show?
We sure did. Last night, the Carabinieri arrested Stromboli and put him in jail.
With Stromboli out of the way, there are no strings holding Fabiana back from taking over the puppet show. Number 3. Pinocchio's peer pressure. At his core, Pinocchio in the original was always a kind soul. He was also naive, though, which is usually the first step towards being corrupted. Once he gets a taste of mischief, Pinocchio sees the fun side of being bad.
What'd I tell you? Ain't this a swell joint?
Yeah, being bad's a lot of fun, ain't it?
It isn't long, however, until Pinocchio learns these actions have consequences. Pinocchio isn't so easily tempted in the remake. When the coachman snatches him up, Pinocchio insists that his father would not approve.
Well, kids, it seems we have a doubter in our midst. A killjoy who apparently doesn't believe in having fun.
As the coachman and other children gang up on him, Pinocchio unwillingly goes with the flow. Even at Pleasure Island, Pinocchio is hesitant to drink or break anything, knowing Geppetto would be disappointed. It captures the uncomfortable sentiment of being at a party where everybody is intoxicated except you.
It just didn't feel right.
Listen to Mr.
shoes. Well, I guess you ain't transformed into a complete jerk yet.
I don't want to be a jerk. I want to be a real boy.
Number 2. Geppetto's tragic backstory. The animated film doesn't delve too deep into Geppetto's backstory, although it's implied that he never married or had biological children. This isn't the case with Tom Hanks's Geppetto, a widower who lost his son as well. Geppetto's clocks are also given more significance. Aside from hosting a plethora of Disney Easter eggs, Geppetto made the clocks for his late wife, leaving him reluctant to sell them.
And she loves every one of them. Every one of them. Oh, but never as much as she loved you, my dear boy.
Geppetto copes with his grief by carving Pinocchio, set to the mournful tune When He Was Here With Me.
Just how it really was when he was here with me.
When Geppetto wishes upon a star, it's not made clear if he asked for Pinocchio to become a real boy or for his departed son to return. Either way, Geppetto is given more of a parental arc this time.
Look at you! Look at you! You are an almost real boy! We can be a family!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. The ending. We all know how the original ends. It appears Pinocchio didn't survive Monstro's attack, but proving himself brave, truthful, and unselfish, he becomes a real boy.
You're alive. And you are a real boy.
The remake throws a few curveballs. Instead of Pinocchio, it's Geppetto who's left in critical condition. Pinocchio revives Geppetto as a teardrop lands on his face. We're just gonna assume Pinocchio got that power from the sundrop flower like Rapunzel. Even more prominent, Pinocchio doesn't become a human boy per se.
There isn't a single thing I would change about you. I am so very proud of you. And I love you so very much.
As Geppetto accepts Pinocchio for who he is, we're left on an ambiguous note as they head home. With a blue glow around the corner, it's possible that Pinocchio is about to be transformed. Jiminy doesn't say, but he leaves us with a little reassurance all the same.
In his heart, Pinocchio is as real as any real boy could ever be.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.